What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and, yeah, confession time. This is actually my second attempt at, making this video and getting it up, because I tried to upload a video on this topic to YouTube, and it got stuck in processing heck, for lack of a better way to put it. So, yeah, I, deleted that draft and said, okay, fine, I'll just try and upload it again another day. Well, I found out some more news on the topic. And the topic in question is pretty much the topic that's been on everybody's minds the majority of the time for the past, 2 years. So, my place of work is asking for employees to put masks back on, even if we've been vaccinated, because, as scientists have been saying and things have shown, even people who are vaccinated can still, spread COVID stuff, even if they don't necessarily get, infected with it, per se, being vaccinated means you don't really get the disease in all likelihood, but that doesn't stop you from, coming into contact with the little virusy bits and then possibly projecting those onto somebody else. Thus, mask suggestion again. And, I really just kind of want this to be done. I think we all just kind of want this to be done. But in order for this to be done, we're going to need to do the work to make it so it's done. And stop griping and moaning and complaining about all the stuff that's suggested that we do that's actually going to help the situation. The main reason that we're seeing another uptick in COVID cases is because there is now a new variation or two, or possibly more that maybe I haven't even heard of. I don't know. But, the Delta variant's the big one that, practically everybody's heard of. Which, I honestly don't know much about it other than I've heard that it spreads way faster and way easier. Okay. So, remember all the damage the original one did? I mean, yeah, it's going to be mitigated by people who have been vaccinated, but for everybody else, that thing going to spread even quicker and do even more harm than the previous one. So, there's that concern. And now there's, reports coming out of Japan, apparently, of yet another variant. If I remember right, they were calling it the Lambda variant. And now I understand why I've been seeing memes of people saying man, this thing gonna be doing the most work to get us to learn Greek since freaking algebra or something like that. So yeah, for all of you, first off, for everybody who was saying, oh, this whole thing was just a power grab, it was just the Democrats trying to gain control of Congress and the presidency, it's all gonna blow away now that Biden's president. Don't y'all look freaking foolish. Seriously, this is clearly not going away. So, point disproven, y'all. Anyone who thought that. Oh, but they're just trying to control us. They're trying to use this virus as a way to take away our rights. First off, let's put aside our rights for a second here. Y'all complaining about this are the same ones that keep trying to fight for individual rights. You're the ones trying to say, oh, I don't need to wear a mask. You're violating my rights as you walk into a grocery store that's asking you to wear a mask. going in and, freaking assaulting employees there, or at the very least griping and complaining to them and, for lack of a better way to put it, being a Karen or whatever. Like, y'all need to stop. First off, at what point do the rights of the individual no longer become as important as the rights and the lives of others? Like, there's that balance you gotta keep in mind here. Also, y'all talk about this crap like they're asking you to do something permanent for the entire rest of our lives, or even the rest of time as we know it, when, no, they're just asking you to get a vaccine, put on a freaking mask, so we can get on with our lives. That's not something that is supposed to be permanent. We keep doing these things until the virus goes away and or is so insignificant of a factor that we don't have to worry about it anymore. If everybody would be freaking vaccinated, we probably wouldn't have to worry about 99% of this crap. But y'all just keep being stubborn. So, like, you really want to get this over with? Get vaccinated. Wear a mask until then. Maybe even after then. Just because we've reached the level of herd immunity because people have gotten previously infected with COVID, that does not necessarily, like, being infected with it before doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get it again, especially when it comes to other variations. So, a little analogy when it comes to that. This is barely even an analogy because it's like nearly the same kind of situation. When it comes to the flu, like, okay, do you get the flu shot? Do you not get the flu shot? It's a debate people have year after year after year. And honestly, like, I haven't necessarily been prone to get the flu shot very much myself. But here's the thing. When you get the flu shot, a couple of things happen with that. First off, they're taking their best guess as to which kind of flu is, the big one that's going to hit that year. Just like with the COVID vaccine, we got, the main variant that made the rounds first. And that's what we used to make the vaccine. And so, related to that, just like we're seeing these other variants of COVID, there are other variants of the flu because it's passed through so many people that it's, started mutating and taking on noticeably different forms, essentially, or at least noticeably different effects with certain variations of it. So, the thing is, though, when you get the flu shot, just because it's for a particular strain or version of the flu, that doesn't mean it's completely useless against the other kinds of flu out there. Similarly, getting the COVID vaccine makes it sort of helpful against these other variations. Early reports are indicating that people who are vaccinated are getting these other variations of COVID way, way, way less than those who are unvaccinated. Now, I don't necessarily know for sure what the difference is, between unvaccinated, never had it, versus unvaccinated, had it before, versus vaccinated. But all the bits and pieces of information that I've heard seem to indicate that, basically that those tiers that I pretty much did right there are like the levels of worried you should be, for lack of a better way to put it. So, okay, another analogy when it comes to this whole COVID variation thing and why you should maybe think about getting the vaccine if you haven't already. Or maybe I should say a vaccine, because there are multiple different ones out there. But anyway, you know how, like, a family, like, just a human family will generally have similar traits because they share similar, biology, they're made of similar DNA, and things like that. Common traits are going to be there. That's not really much different to how things work with viruses and bacteria and stuff like that, even when they mutate. Just because there's a mutation doesn't mean it's a totally different disease virus thing. It is still within the same air quote family of virus disease, and therefore it has some similar characteristics. Thus, vaccine that helps with one variation is also going to help with others because it's designed to tackle that specific thing. When you've just had the disease before, yes, your body has built up a little bit of defense against it, but some of the stuff that your body did to defend against it is the same stuff that it does against, like, every single virus, bacteria, intruder thing that comes into your body. You get a fever, you get certain parts of your body not functioning as much. That's what your body does against, like, literally everything that's abnormal. So, again, now that it's dealt with this specific virus, yeah, it knows a little bit more of what's helpful and how to handle it, but it's not as specialized as a vaccine is with, specifically handling that virus or whatever causes the disease. So, like, this is me doing my darndest to ask people to get vaccinated. Now, if you're concerned with which vaccine to get, this is just my own personal stuff that I've heard and seen, but there are people I've talked to, one in particular, who works in healthcare, who was actually a customer where I work, but this particular person works in healthcare. I don't know exactly to what capacity, whether like nurse or doctor or whatever, but she essentially said that out of all the different vaccines and, people who have had to come in to get treated for COVID-related stuff post-vaccine, the one that had, at that point, she was saying absolutely nobody who had gotten the Moderna vaccine had gone into wherever her place of work is to get treated for COVID symptoms after that. The other ones, maybe a little. Not a lot, but still maybe a little. So, if you're trying to think through which vaccine is the way to go, seems like, at least as far as I can tell, you might want to go with Moderna. Just, that's the impression that I get just from what I've heard from this person, as well as just little tidbits from other random sources that I've seen, read, heard, whatever. So, I think those are pretty much the main points that I wanted to hit with this. So, like, please, those of you who have been holding out just because you're, being stubborn or you think it's some political ploy or whatever, like, give the politics a rest for a little bit, would you? The uptick has already started, by the way. Last I looked, we were at the point in the curve that basically resembled September of last year, which was right before we were hitting our highest levels of hospitalizations and things like that. Y'all really want to go through that again? Because we're about to if we don't do something. So, this is my last attempt at requesting, please, get vaccinated if you can. There's no charge. It's completely free. I literally could go to freaking Walmart and get the Moderna vaccine, which was the one that I was just saying seems to be the best. So, like, it's not really an inconvenience. There ain't no freaking microchip. You might feel some symptoms. Like, I was kind of out of commission for like a day-ish. My arm hurt for like half a week. But that was really about it for me. Of course, I'm young and healthy, so I understand if there might be more hesitation among other people who might have other health complications that would, further aggravate the situation or make it worse. If y'all need to do some more research on that because of your pre-existing conditions, fine, do it. But consider getting vaccinated, please. Or if you don't want to and or can't, just wear a mask. It's not that, like, clearly nobody has been made silent by nature of wearing a mask. People have still griped and moaned and complained underneath masks. I have heard it and seen it myself. So, like, that's not some form of government control or something like that. Alright? And you can find some masks out there for pretty cheap, too. By the way, reason for wearing a mask in the first place, and reason that people who are vaccinated also maybe can still spread, but don't spread the disease as much. It's pretty much like, we all know that it's an airborne disease now. That's how it spreads. Or at least the main way that it spreads. So, like, wearing a mask helps kind of reduce the size of the stuff being projected out there, as well as keeps a lot of it from being projected as far. So, if it's not necessarily able to go as far, yeah, okay, in a public place like a grocery store, if it lingers around in the air, somebody else might come and kind of push it along, so to speak. But the longer that it's there in the air, the more time it generally has to kind of settle and, dissipate to the point where it's, like, practically non-existent. So, that's part of the reason why wearing a mask is effective. Why being vaccinated helps as well is because if you're vaccinated, you're not going to pick it up, and you're not going to have, like, if on the off chance you do have symptoms, they're not going to be as severe, but you really shouldn't be having symptoms. I mean, most people aren't going to have symptoms like they would if they were not vaccinated. Therefore, a lot of the coughing, sneezing, extra stuff that would happen as a result of having COVID that would, like, project stuff further out there and or cause bigger stuff to be projected, that's going to be reduced by those who are vaccinated, because they're not going to have that stuff that's projecting it as much. And I already mentioned the mask and how it affects all that. It's even better at trapping the bigger stuff in there. So, all the more reason, if you're unvaccinated, to wear a mask. You know, when it's necessarily, like, when you're in public places and or around a bunch of other people. So anyway, all right, that, I'm like 95% sure, covers all my thoughts related to this. If we really want to stop hearing about news of all these new mutations and stuff, these are the steps to take to stop it. We've already had over 35 million cases and over 600,000 deaths from the base version primarily of COVID. You know, the one that we're more familiar with. That's not even saying what these new variants could do. If we really want to decrease the uptick and bring it back down, if we really want to, you know, basically kick COVID out of here, this is the stuff we got to do. All right? There's really no debating about this. It's not going to be as effective to wait for, like, you know, herd immunity by contamination. It's not going to be as effective to just sit there idly by and bide your time trying to wait it out or whatever. So, like, yeah, just do this stuff. And it'll be over the quickest. I know we all want to get this crap over with. This is how to do it, all right? I'm telling you right now, just do this stuff. It's that simple. Again, unless you have health complications or whatever that are legitimate and actually prevent you from, say, getting vaccinated or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway, that's everything. I'm done. Feel free to leave comments below with any other thoughts that you have related to this or suggestions for people of other things that might help with all of this. Like, if we keep going at this rate, some places might have to close back down again. School might have to not meet in person again, and I know y'all don't want that. So, yeah, comments down below. Discuss. I mean, I really don't know of too much else that we could do, or at least not much else that's as obvious. But again, if you want to leave suggestions down there, feel free. Along with other video ideas or other stuff like that. Leave it all down below. And, of course, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell, all that good stuff. Look at the description if you're not sure on, you know, how to interact with me and my channel and my other social media outlets and all that good stuff. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next one. But until then, stay cool, people.